Shame cannot exist in the light. It cannot exist. If you were to think about a scale of emotions, they all have a vibrational frequency. The really positive emotions, like the yummy ones, bliss and gratitude and joy, ooh, yummy. They all exist at an actual higher frequency. You can actually measure this. They vibrate at a higher frequency. In the middle, you have neutrality. And then at the very end of the spectrum, with the denser emotions, is you have shame and powerlessness at the very, very bottom. And you could even say that they are sort of one and the same. Shame and powerlessness. They carry a very similar vibrational frequency. We have all experienced shame at some point in our lives. Every single one of us. Shame is kind of like the virus, so to speak, of our society. It's the thing that's sort of not really spoken about, but it kind of exists within all of us, and it vibrates at a really, really slow frequency. So it's at the very, very end of the spectrum. Shame needs the light. Shame cannot exist in the light. You are the light. Consciousness is the light. You are pure consciousness. There's nothing more you have to be. There's nothing more you have to do. There's nothing more you have to become. There's nothing more that you have to work out around your unworthiness issues and your trauma issues. You're already the light. You're already it. You're already consciousness. You already are enough. Simply by being here in a body, having ears, listening to these words, right? You're already enough. If you're here, if you are listening to me in some capacity, you're already enough. You are already the light. That is the truth of who you are. Shame needs the light because it will dissipate the second it's in the light. And it's not a comfortable process. Shame is quite a difficult emotion to feel because it just kind of makes you want to crawl away and hide. Why? Why does shame want to do this? Because shame is not bad. No emotion is bad, but especially shame. It's not bad. It feels icky, but it's not bad. Shame is your protector. When you are a child or at any point in your life and you experience shame, shame is like the protector that comes in and goes, okay, what's going on here? You've just exposed, you've just experienced, or rather expressed, a part of your truth, a part of your personality, a part of your essence that was not well received by the people around you. Usually parents and caregivers, could be society at large, could be friends, could be relatives, could be anyone, could be teachers. If your essence, your expressed essence was not met in a way that you needed it to at that moment, which that happens to all of us, it's normal, it's part of life. Shame comes in and is like, okay, you need to have your needs met and you need to be accepted to some capacity to live in this society because we are interdependent species. You cannot live alone, you need other humans. So let me bubble wrap, this is what the shame does, let me bubble wrap whatever that expression of truth was so that it never shows up again. And then let me push it down so far and repress it so deeply into your body so that it never comes out ever again. And then it lives there and it stays there. And you know what happens over time? Because everything has a vibrational frequency, that shame is already so dense. If it stays there for a long time, year after year after year after year after year after year, it gets denser and denser and denser until eventually that frequency turns into dense matter. This is where a lot of dis-ease comes from. Mental dis-ease, emotional dis-ease, physical dis-ease comes from repressed shame that has actually been dormant and repressed for so long that it actually actualizes, so to speak, into physical matter. Your disease is not a problem. You are not bad. You already are the light. Your disease needs the light of who you already are. You are consciousness. Your shame needs the light of who you are. Do you want to know what the most common repressed emotion is that I see that is bubble wrapped by a whole fucking lot of shame? Anger. We as a society don't really know what to do with anger because we see anger as an expression of something that hurts people, hurts property, or hurts ourselves. Not true. That may be what anger wants to tell you to do. That's because you haven't learned what anger is yet. Anger is a lot of times what you desire that you have a belief that you can't have. Anger is a lot of times boundaries that are an expression of your truth, of your essence. Without having an access to your anger, you don't have an access to your boundaries. And without having an access to your boundaries, the light of who you are, the light of consciousness, cannot enter your body because you don't feel safe in the world. This is also repressed anger that's bubble wrapped in shame. This is where depression comes from. This is where suicide comes from, or suicidal thoughts, because it's relative to a state of powerlessness. It's, well, there's nothing more I can do kind of feeling. It's because you've lost access to the powerful part of you. And I'm not saying live in anger, I'm just saying anger has a purpose. Know the purpose and get on with it. Know the purpose so that you can elevate back up into the higher vibrational emotions. What happens over time is if you've experienced repetitive shame or one big shame thing or whatever kind of shame growing up or at whatever part in your life, is that you end up repressing a part of your needs. The thing that people don't understand about needs is that you cannot ignore your needs. You know how you have a need for water? How you wake up in the morning and you're like, well, I gotta drink water today. If you were to go, let's say 3 days, 4 days without drinking water, you wouldn't be able to tap into your free will anymore around not drinking that water. And the way I like to explain this is if you were to pass a homeless man who peed into a bucket, like a really stinky, smelly, probably got some weird stuff going on, homeless man, and he peed into a bucket, by that 3rd, 4th, 5th day, I don't know how long we can survive without water, you would drink the homeless man's pee. You would, because you have a need for water. So we can all agree that we have a need for water. It's the same fucking thing with your emotional needs, with your mental needs, with your spiritual needs. If you have a need for vulnerability, if you have a need for connection, if you have a need to feel loved, if you have a need to feel worthy, you can't live life without getting those needs met. If you are not consciously getting those needs met because of shame, because it's bubble wrapped, because you're not in the full alignment that that is your need, because you can't admit to yourself that that's your need because of the shame experienced around it, you're going to end up drinking the homeless man's pee version of it. Meaning your subconscious mind is going to find the back door in your life to manipulate your life or manipulate others to get that need met. This is also why recognizing our shame and bringing light to it is so important. Because if you're not doing that, it will turn into some kind of subconscious manipulation. We've all done it. This is not a bad thing. I'm not trying to pick anyone out. I've certainly done this. Trust me. But you got to bring the light of your awareness to your shame. And I will teach you very briefly how to do this, and then I'm going to pop off. You basically do this by knowing that your body is always on your side. Your body will never, ever, ever lie to you. Your thoughts, your mind, your conscious mind lies to you all the time. Don't believe it. Don't believe all those thoughts that tell you you're not good enough, because none of them are true. But your body, when it produces a certain feeling, which we call a somatic address in your body, it's always true. And all you simply have to do is bring the light of your consciousness, which is the light of your love, which is the light of your truth, which is really just awareness. Awareness is consciousness. You bring your awareness to that bodily sensation, and no matter how uncomfortable it is, you say, thank you. Wow, this really sucks. Thank you for being here. I accept you fully, because I know that when I bring the light of my love, when I bring the light of my consciousness to these darker places, it can't exist. And we get to elevate and we get to rise. And as you rise and as I rise and as we all rise, our proprioceptive nervous systems talk to each other and everyone rises. And that's really just the point. Have a beautiful day.